and said, I've got to drop your class because I can't come the last 2 weeks. I said, no. You are not going to drop my class the last 2 weeks. We'll record and get you through it. So, life happens. If you come the other 14 weeks, we're going to make it happen. So, did I hit record? I think I did. It's one of those days. Yeah, it's recording. Okay. So, what I'm going to do, today we're going to do chapter 5. Thursday we'll do 5 and some 8. Tuesday we'll do 8. Thursday of next week we'll do the exam review, and then we'll have the exam on May 1st. And our exam will be in 7103, which is downstairs, one of those hub rooms at the end. I'll put a note on this door. I'll send y'all an email when we get closer. The only thing y'all have left now, you have the 7 and 6 test, you have the 5 and 8 homework, and you have the final exam. So those are the only things that are on your to-do list right now. But it's the end of the semester, and this is when people ask me, do you do extra credit? And some people don't do extra credit. But some of y'all look back and say, Jern, I forgot how easy I had it at the beginning of the semester. I should have gotten all hundreds on my homework. What was I thinking? So, what I'm going to do is I am going to open up all homework again. So if you did not get hundreds on your homework, you can go back to any old homework. Remember, the exam reviews don't count. So you can go back to any homework except the exam reviews, and anything that you need to pull up to 100, you can. I'm going to make all homework due Wednesday, 4/25 at midnight. And the reason I'm doing it Wednesday is because when you come in here next Thursday, I don't want you thinking about anything else but the exam review. We good? So when I get to my office this afternoon, I'll go back out there and open up all homework back up until Wednesday, April 25th. Yay? And if you already have hundreds, you're perfect. You don't have anything to worry about. All right, so today we're going to work on chapter 5. Now, I think I've only had one person take the test, and when she went to take the test, she freaked out a little bit. Heather went to the test. I will say, bragging rights, she made 100.
Wow.
Hey. Yeah, kudos to Heather. But just FYI, because everybody uses those calculators, they can screw them up. And so I'm hoping that Heather was the only one that got a screwed up calculator. But just FYI, when she went in there and she did like stat edit and she put her stuff in there and she goes to Zoom 9, this is what came up. And she's like, holy crap, there's no points. And so she was like, I don't know what to do. She had done the fixed calc, because remember you do program fixed calc and it didn't fix it, and she went through that whole test. Well, she got to the last question and she finally figured out how to fix it. Okay, so I just want to make sure we all, I know. So just FYI, right here it says stat plot, and we have talked about how to cut the plot on. But above the y equals, it says stat plot, which is how to cut that plot on. So if you hit second stat plot, that gets you into how to cut that plot on. Y'all with me? So number 1, so I did second y equals, and that's where we cut that plot on. But what somebody had done is they had turned it from the dots into a histogram or a line graph or a whatever. Wow. So to turn it back, I do second y equals, and I hit enter, And then I go down and I get on top of those dots and hit enter. And then I do second quit. And then just to make sure, I'm going to do zoom 9, and there's my dots. But if I go back in, I'm going to do second stat plot again. Just to show you, it can be anything, like if they want to connect the dots. And I'm going to do zoom 9. It just connects all the dots and makes it crazy. Or if I do second stat plot, and I go in, I can turn, we learned in that last chapter, we learned how to do that box and whisker. And get out of there, and I do zoom 9. It'll turn it into a box and whisker. So somebody was in another stats class, a Math 120 stats class, and they were doing something other than what we were doing. So, don't worry about it. If you do zoom 9 and you see little dots, then you're good. But if you don't, we just hit second y equals and hit enter, and all you're going to do is get on top of that first one, the type, and you want it to be just a bunch of dots. And then do hit second quit.
I just started clicking all kind of buttons.
Yeah.
Seriously, I went across the whole top and then I went through all of them.
Yeah, just trying to figure out where it was.
Because the last one I absolutely needed the dots. The rest of them I kind of figured out
Without the dots.
That last one I needed it.
Yeah. So, other than that, the fixed calc will fix everything. And if you go into stat edit and, sometimes accidentally you go up to the top and instead of hit clear, like I taught you, you accidentally hit delete and it deletes the whole column. That fixed calc will get it back to where it's supposed to be. Or we can do stat number 5 and that'll get it back to where it's supposed to be. But that was the one thing that she said, oh my gosh, that was crazy. Make sure you let everybody else know. And I'm like, oh, I'm so glad you told me. So, thank goodness it didn't hurt her, but I want to let everybody else know.
Thank you. Thank you.
We good? All right. Remember that your test can be done today, tomorrow, or Thursday. So the test is due Thursday, April 19th. I have opened up all homework until this date, which is Wednesday. So all homework is due that day. And that's the rest of the semester. All right, so now we're going to talk about 5 and 8. Now, and for your final exam, I am going to review everything you need to know on the 26th. But I also, as I've done for every other test, out there at the bottom, I have the final exam review. So it is all 8 chapters, everything that I have done all semester long. It's 115 questions. But if you can do those 115 questions, you will be fine on the exam. Okay? So that is everything I've done all mixed up. So there's a chapter 4, there's a chapter 5, there's a chapter 4. I have them all mixed up, okay? So, there's a method to my madness. We did chapter 1 and 2, we did chapter 3 and 4, then we went to chapter 7 and 6, and now we're doing chapters 5 and 8. And the reason I do chapters 5 and 8 at the end is because chapter 5 and 8 summarizes everything that we've done, okay? So, and in your homework, y'all, even though we have like a 5-1 and a 5-2 and an 8-1 and an 8-2, I put all of your 5 homework together and all of your 8 homework together. Because there wasn't that many chapter 5 and there wasn't that many chapter 8. So all of 5-1, 5-2, 5-3, whatever it was, and 8-1, 8-2, 8-3, whatever it was, they're all in one section. So all of chapter 5 and all of chapter 8 are together. Okay? So, chapter 5, what is normal? Okay, in chapter 4, we talked about the bell-shaped curve. We talked about a normal curve. We talked about left skewed. We talked about right skewed. So we're talking about that again. So it's a little review. Symmetric is when we had outliers at both ends. Left skewed is when we had the outlier on the left and the hump on the right. Right skewed is when we had the outlier on the right and the hump on the left. So the good news is we're not talking about anything new right now. Little review. Same kind of picture that we talked about before. If your outliers on the left is left skewed because your mean and median are pulled to the left, your mean, median, and mode are actually in the hump. Right skewed, your mean, median, and mode are in the hump. Your mean and median are pulled towards your outlier, but your mode is still in the middle. And symmetric, your mean, median, and mode are all in the middle. We've talked about this before. If it has one mode, two modes, three modes, or no modes, it will be uniform. We talked about variation. If it's a high variation, it's spread out. If it's a low variation, it's close together. So if all of y'all made grades in the 70s, that will be close together. That will be a low variation. If I had some of you make a 20 and some of you make a 90, that would be a high variation. That would be spread out. Okay, this one says, consider the following two normal curves. So they're both symmetric, they're both bell-shaped, they're both non-skewed. You have A, which is here. Do them in highlight so that we can talk about them. You have A, which is here, and then you have B, which is here. It says, do the distributions, do the two curves have the same mean? Yes or no? Do the curves have the same mean? They do. And it is 36. Because up here we said that if it is symmetric, the mean, median, and mode are going to be the middle. Okay? So both of these are symmetric. They're normal. They're bell-shaped. So this represents the mean, the median, and the mode, which is going to give me 36. We cool? One of these curves corresponds to a normal distribution with a standard deviation of 1. The other curve corresponds to a normal distribution with a standard deviation of 3. Which curve, A or B, has a standard deviation of 3? Which curve would you think had a standard deviation of 3? Who? Does it know? One has a standard deviation of 1. One has a different color. One has a standard deviation of 1, and one has a standard deviation of 3. How do we know which one's which? One is skinny, and one is fat. One has a high variation because it's fat, and one has a low variation because it's skinny. Tell me about A.
Well, it's skinny.
A. It's not working over here.
Or over there.
Over there.
It's strong.
It is. Let me delete that. Okay, so A is skinny. Let me get a text box for a second. Which means it has a low variation, which means it has a low standard deviation. Move this down so we can actually read it. So A is skinny, low variation, low standard deviation. Tell me about B.
It's short and fat.
B is fat. So tell me about the variation.
High
High variation. So tell me about the standard deviation. So now tell me about which one has a standard deviation of 1 and which one has a standard deviation of 3. A is going to have a standard deviation of 1. B is going to have a standard deviation of 3. So the skinnier it is, the smaller the standard deviation is going to be because the lower the standard deviation. The fatter it is, the wider it is. Y'all, if a skinny person sits down, they don't have much spread. If a fat person sits down, they got more spread. They got a higher standard deviation. They got a higher variation. They got a higher spread. We good? All right. Now, on the final exam, y'all, this better be the only question y'all better not miss or I'm going to beat you and fail you automatically.
Oh, wow. Oh.
The question is going to say on the final, which one is normal? And I'm going to give you a left skewed, a right skewed, and a normal. If y'all miss that one, you deserve to repeat this class.
It's just a setting on the drawing.
Yeah. Now, this one says, which one is normal? Identify the distribution that is non-normal. So for this one, which one would you say is not normal? So is this normal or not normal?
Not normal.
Not normal. What is this one?
Normal.
Normal. What is this one?
Not normal.
Not normal. So normal, so this one is going to be not normal. This one is going to be normal. And this one's going to be not normal. Just because it has a little bit more scooshy that way than it does the other way. We good? All right. Now, we have done these in the past. We talked, I gave you a picture and I said, is it left skewed, is it right skewed, or is it normal? Okay. This time they just want to know, is it normal or not normal? So you don't have to tell me the skewness. The exact weights of random selected quarters. So I don't know how much a quarter weighs, but it weighs something. Okay. So if I take a bunch of quarters, most quarters are going to weigh something. Am I going to have some quarters that weigh a little less than that? Am I going to have some quarters that weigh a little more than that? Because, you know, a piece of rock may get stuck in there while I'm making it, or an air bubble may get stuck where I'm making it. So we're going to have outliers at both ends. So this one is going to be normal because I have outliers at both ends. Y'all with me? Remember doing this back in the day? This one is normal. All right, let's look at another one. The incomes of randomly selected adults. Incomes is how much money you make. So it's not how much money you owe somebody, it's how much money you make. So the least amount that I can owe somebody is 0, so I can't go into the negatives. So I don't know what the average amount of money is, okay, but it's something, okay. I can't go below 0. I can't make below nothing. Can I make a whole lot? Is it normal?
No.
This one is going to be not normal because I couldn't go forever in the left direction. It kind of stopped because I couldn't go to negative infinity. Y'all with me? So this one's going to be not normal because I couldn't go forever in the negative. The numbers selected in the Pennsylvania Match 6 lottery in which players attempted to match 6 randomly selected numbers between 1 and 49. So for the number, so we're picking 6 numbers. So what are my chances? What's the probability of me picking a number between 1 and 49? 1 out of 49. So, if I were doing, man, this sucks. So, what's my chances of picking the next number? 1 out of 49. And the next one is 1 out of 49. And the next one is 1 out of 49. And the next one's 1 out of 49. And the next one's 1 out of 49. So, do you see that my graph didn't do this? It kind of stayed like this. It's a uniform distribution. But my question is it normal or is it not normal? This one's going to be not normal. Everything is going to have the same probability of being chosen. Everything's going to be equal. All right, all SAT scores. Raise your hand if you think it's normal. Raise your hand if you think it's not normal. Raise your hand if you have no clue.
I think it's,
Okay, I don't know what the average SAT score is, but there is an average SAT score of something. Now, you've got to think about the outliers. Are there people that are going to make really bad? There's dum-dums. Are there people that are going to make really good? Normal or not normal? Normal. Y'all, I have to tell you this. Jessica's not here because I thought she was going to call me out. Jessica sits back in the back row beside Janie. My husband and I went on a date Saturday night after we had worked all day. And so we had gone and gotten some stuff for our business and ran a couple places. And so 11:30 at night, we're in Walmart in Darlington. We'd already been to Walmart in Hartsville, already been to Walmart in Florence, so we were in Walmart in Darlington.
what a date.
I know. Well, we'd already been to like 400, it's 11:30 at night, and we were already like crazy. We were buying stuff for the business. And so, walking down, and I'm like, told my husband, I want one of those old people bikes, the little cruisers.
I want,
The cute one. I mean, they're so cute.
no years.
I know they're, well, me, my husband, and my daughter bought the 2148 speed bikes. I can't keep up with what things they need to be on, and so I said, I just want, and we all go riding all the time. My husband's lost 65 pounds since January. And so, and I'm like, I just can't keep up with what gears I need. And my husband, and we all have matching bikes. My husband had, I don't even know the colors, but my husband has one color, and I have one color, and Madison has one color, but it's all the same bike. So we're that family. And so my husband, and even though they're the same bike, somehow my husband and my daughter, their gears are one way, and then my gears are the other way. So when Jody tells Madison, turn your right hand up and your left hand down, mine is the other way, and I just get so confused. So I just said, I want one of those cute bikes. I want the pink bike with the basket and the cell phone and the water. I want one of those bikes. So I had on a little mini skirt and flip-flops, but I said, Jody, get down, nobody's here. Get down one of those bikes so I can ride it to see if I like it. Oh, God. In Walmart. It was 11:30 at night in Darlington. Who is there? So, and it's not just sitting there, it's like up like this so everybody can see it. And he knows I'm an idiot. So I said, I got papers on you. Come on. I mean, it's our joke. I don't know if it's marriage papers or divorce papers or insurance papers, but I have papers on him. So he got the thing down, and so I go to get on it, and I didn't realize the seat wasn't in. So I go to sit on it, and the seat goes to the bottom, and so he is dying laughing, like half of Walmart could have hurt him. So he goes down the aisle so that he wouldn't laugh in my face, but that I could hear him. So I'm trying to, in a skirt, so now I'm like down and riding, but I'm in a skirt, which probably wasn't the most brightest thing that I've ever done, but I wanted to ride this bike to see if I like it. So I'm trying to ride the cruiser bike, and I'm like, I like it, but it's not pink. But I like it, and so I go down the main aisle, and I turn back, and I'm getting up some speed, and these two people walk down, and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And she turned to her boyfriend and said, this is my math teacher. And Jody just shook his head, and he had just tried on the helmet with the mohawk. I said, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to school. And my husband says, do your students know how dumb you are? And I said, they do. That's the sad part, they do. And so Jessica said, yeah, that's my math teacher right there. And I said, yeah, riding a bike at 11:30 at night. Walmart. So that's peopleofwalmart.com. Yeah. I didn't get it because it wasn't pink, but oh, it was so cute. I had a little cell phone
Was it-
thing in the water.
Was it turquoise?
It was the
I
turquoise
want
one.
that one.
Yeah, it was so when I said, oh, dumb people, I'm like, oh, let me talk about me. Yeah, that was my moment. I was
I'll
like,
give you that, thank you.
I know, out of everybody, I would have to see one of my students. The probability of that happening was very small.
1 in a million.
I know. All right, the measured white blood cell counts of 500 randomly selected adult women. I want to know, is it normal or not normal?
Normal.
We don't know what the cell count is, but there's got to be an average cell count. If I pick out 500 people, is there going to be somebody that has a low white blood cell count? Is there going to be somebody that has a, so this one's going to be
Whatever.
whatever that word is.
What is that?
That is a word. That's a word, normal.
Those two ones need to go see the doctor.
Yep. Flight delays. The lengths of time that commercial aircraft are delayed before departing. So, let's say that we have a 10 a.m. flight. Okay? Now, the flight is probably going to take off at 10 a.m. Could the flight take off at 9:59 if everybody was there? Could it take off at 9:58? Could it take off at 4 o'clock in the morning? So it could take off a minute or two early, but not much earlier than that. Could it take off at 12, 1, 2, 3 the next day?
Yeah.
So it could take off a lot later, but it couldn't take off much earlier. Y'all with me? So this one's going to be not normal. Many flights experience, whatever. Whatever. Waiting times at a bus stop if the bus comes once every 10 minutes. So if the bus was to come at 10 or 10:10 or 10:20, it's supposed to come at 10. Now, it could come at 9:59 or 9:58, but it's not going to come a whole lot earlier than that. But it could come a little bit later. It could be coming a little bit late, but it's not going to come any earlier. You with me? So that one's going to be not normal as well. And y'all, don't get too hung up in these. You're not having a test just on 5 and 8. You're having homework on 5 and 8, and you're having a multiple choice final exam. Multiple choice final exam. All right. For this one, it says histogram. We're bringing back up stuff that we did in chapter 3 and 4. This is a histogram where your bars touch. The average is 5.62. So 5.62 is somewhere right there. Okay. Is the distribution close to normal? So if I connected these dots, I want to know, is that close to normal? Yes or no?
No.
I would say that it's not normal, that it's a little bit skewed. Which skew is it going to be? Left or right?
Right.
It's going to be right skewed, and the reason it's right skewed is because your outlier is going to be on the right. We good? This one, we have, is it normal? Not normal. And if I would say this one is right skewed as well. All right. Okay, here comes the good part. This is called the 60th.
Sorry.
I just told him about our meeting in Walmart.
Did you ever find your bicycle, the pink one?
Yeah, I'm still looking for my my pink bicycle.
I want the one she was on,
Yeah, the turquoise.
the turquoise.
Yeah. Yeah. Told her the probability of me riding a bike in Walmart and seeing a
Exactly.
student. Yeah.
Almost running over said student, yeah. Oh, she left that part out, huh?
Yeah, I was gaining momentum and they were coming out of the side. Yeah. 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 I was checking it out.